Welcome back to the #1 television show in the history of the world, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing a book that I read, and it is called Dreams Underfoot by Charles DeLint. This is a collection of short stories by one of my favorite authors, and it was written between the dates of 1987 and 1992, and it focuses on his Newford series of books. I've got every Charles DeLint novel over here. In fact, I got an entire shelf just dedicated to my Charles DeLint collection. Well, half of those books there are set in his make-believe urban fantasy setting of Newford, which is a city where he sets most of his books. And this is a collection of short stories set there. And I have been reading, for the channel, I've been reading these Newford books in order of publication. And so now we're to this one. So let's talk about the cover first. I love graphic design and cover illustration. And this one has a great, as do most of the Charles DeLint books. Most of them have been illustrated by John Jude Palencar, one of the great illustrators. And I love that illustration. It's just super cool. This is just like an elegant looking little book here. And, I do consider Charles DeLint one of my writer friends. He has signed most of my books. I showed them when I did my Charles DeLint book collection video. I showed you all the signed ones. I'm not going to belabor that point here, but anyway, I do know the guy. I do consider him one of the, I consider this guy the father of urban fantasy. And if you want to know what urban fantasy is, it's kind of like Dresden Files, stuff like that. Just fantasy stuff set in our own world. Anyway, so just let me read the back jacket and everything on the back jacket, because it really talks about the book. And okay, here we go. Welcome to Newford. Welcome to the music clubs, the waterfront, the alleyways, where ancient myths and magic spill into the modern world. Come meet Jilly, painting wonders in the rough city streets, and Gordy playing fiddle while he dreams of a ghost, and the angel of Grasso Street gathering the fae, and the wild and the poor and the lost. Gemons live in abandoned cars, and skells traverse the tunnels below, while mermaids swim in the gray harbor waters and fill the cold night with their song. Just like Mark Halperin's Winter's Tale and John Crowley's Little Big, DeLint's Dreams Underfoot is a must-read book, not only for fans of urban fantasy, but for all who seek magic in everyday life. In DeLint's capable hands, modern fantasy becomes something other than escapism. It becomes folk song, the stuff of urban myth. Charles DeLint shows that, far from being escapism, contemporary fantasy can be the deep, mythic literature of our time. This is why I like this stuff. If you really like TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Stranger Things, you got to, and even the X-Files, you're going to love Charles DeLint books. So the Newford stories, for me, they're kind of like comfort food. Whenever I just delve into this little town it's a city that Charles DeLint's created, a makeup city, I just feel at home with very old friends. It's got a late 1980s, 1990s gothic vibe to it. It's just really cool. The intro, I like this introduction here. The book you hold is neither a novel nor a simple gathering of short stories. Rather, it is a cycle of urban myths and dreams, of passions and sorrows, romance and farce woven together to create a tapestry of interconnected dramas, interconnected lives, the kind of magic to be found in the heart of any city among any tightly knit community of friends. If the imaginary city of Newford is more mythic, more mysterious than the cities you have known, that may be only because you have not seen them through Charles DeLint's eyes. Through the twilight dreams he weaves out of language and music, here he spreads his dreams before us and bids us, in the words of Yeats' poem, to tread softly, for urban magic is fleeting and shy, and its touch is a transformation. Delightful, interconnected short stories. I enjoyed the ones about our main, because there's a lot of characters in the city of Newford that we follow through. I think it's 6 or 7 collections of short stories and 6 or 7, maybe 10, maybe 11 or 12 full-length novels. So this, and all of the novels and all these stories are interconnected. There's a lot of characters that are interweaved through all the stories. No character is a main character. There's about a dozen to 20 different characters that we follow throughout these collections of books and collections. I mean, and you just kind of got to read the entire work as a whole to really kind of, I mean, they're all standalone, but the magic is in when you read them all together and you see how everyone's story interconnects. I guess that's what I'm saying. Again, I like the novels. I'm not a short story guy. I struggle through short story collections. I really do. And some of these were dope as hell, and others I skimmed a little bit. But that's just me in short stories. I really have a not a dislike, but I like epic. The thing is, like I said, that's what I'm saying. The entire Newford collection itself is massive and epic, and I consider it all one great huge big body of work. That's why I kind of promote all of it, the novels and the short stories. That's why I collect all of it. It's because it's just cool. I would give the short story collections are always going to get a little bit lower rating from me than the novels, although I think they're all important to the overall arc of everything that DeLint does. So I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Just because it's DeLint, his writing is delicious, and the Newford setting is one of my favorites fantasy settings in all of literature. It's actually just one of my favorite settings in all of literature. Anyway, that is my review of Dreams Underfoot.